All right. So, I know this is short notice, really short notice, but I didn't know. Whatever, not important. Hello. Today we're going to be arguing with people on the internet, which is what I normally do, but we're doing it live because I'm kind of tired of editing videos at the moment. And I figured it'd be better to do what I normally do live than to not do it at all. So, hello. Welcome to the stream. Will this people reach the IQ level of a slug? I think they're slightly above slug, but we'll see. Hi, by the way. Hi. How you doing, Adolf? I have to give you warning. This one, it's not one to watch with your family. Not that you should watch any of my videos with your family, because, oh boy, the arguments that may or may not ensue. But this, you'll see. You'll see. Do you suppose we will hit a great filter being... You guys hear that? The vehicles that go by my house. I'm by a fairly busy road, so, like, of course it's going to be busy. But some of the vehicles are loud for no reason. Anyhow, that's why it takes me so long to record sometimes, because you'll hear a truck that sounds super fast, like a racing truck, while it's going 35 miles an hour. It's ridiculous. That's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, oh boy, I don't even want to talk about what we're going to talk about. It's political. That's the short of it. Will it contain obscenity? Well, every now and then I do say things like shit, fuck, hell, goddamn, those sorts of things, but didn't want to say it at the top of the video. But we're talking about abortion. And the guys we're responding to, they're not the relenting type, so it seems. Skull poster behind you, wasn't that a cover of David Sedaris' book? I have no idea. I've never heard of that person, but that skull is a Van Gogh painting. So it is in the public domain, so anybody can use it any way they want, including the background of YouTube videos and live streams, which is actually why I have it. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's on the cover of several books. But yeah, that's one of the few Van Gogh paintings that has a skull in it, and there were a couple. Anyhow, yeah, we're going controversial today. I know I don't normally cover controversial topics, but we're going there. We're going there. Hello, Norway. My Norwegian brothers. Or sister. Whatever. Okay. Is this actually going to be any actual arguing, or arguing on the internet the topic? I am going to watch a video, and I'm going to give you my opinion on the video, because I know how much everyone out there values my opinion over everyone else's, because I'm an important person like that. I don't know. I don't know why. Okay. My hair is bothering me, which, by the way, my hair is black now. It's a blue black, and my scalp is stained, but my hair is black. You guys are putting cuss words in the chat, and I have to, like, allow them every time it comes up. Brother. Well, hello, Norwegian brother, then. Are you guys ready for this? Because I know I'm not. I'm putting it off. I'm trying to stall, but I'm not good at it. Let's go here, so you can see my monitor. The video is titled, "Should People Kill Babies Because They're Expensive?" That's where we're going with this. That's what's happening. So, I hope you guys are ready. Hope you guys are strapped in Your opinion is more important than theirs, honestly. I mean, I like to think so, but everybody feels that way. So it's like, I don't know. How do I know that I'm better than them? It's because you guys agree with me. That's what it is. I noticed looks good. Thank you. Thank you. Kaylee said that I looked like Coraline's hair. I'm kind of upset about that. All right, let's do this.
Should we kill babies just because they're expensive? Today on the podcast, we tackle the subject of abortion.
Right. So that's their take on the whole abortion issue, where they're killing babies because they're expensive. But let's answer the short of the question. I'm sure they're going to get into it, but let's answer the short of the question. Should we kill babies because they're expensive? Kinda, yeah. I think there are better reasons to kill babies, like if any of them belong to these people. But if a child cannot be taken care for, then it's better that that child is not had in the first place. We'll get into it. Teenagers are expensive. I don't think kids are cheap in any stretch of their lives until maybe they retire. And I mean, I don't know. I haven't had a kid, so I wouldn't know. But so. All right,
Hi,
creation.com.
Here with Lita Cosner of Creation Ministries. Hello, Lita.
Hi, Keaton.
Lita has an MA in New Testament, and I'm an apologist and speaker with CMI. And
so these guys are professionally qualified to tell you how to live your life. A lady with an MA in New Testament and an apologist. They know. All right, there's a reason why our government isn't run by those sorts of people, or maybe it is, and there's a totally different reason for that. But oh boy, I had a whole lot to say before I started this stream, but now it's just like, ooh. Yeah. It's going to piss you off more the deeper they get into it. I have a feeling. I only watched like the first minute and a half, and then I'm like, all right, let's start the stream. So, let's see what they have to say.
As a kind of a premise for today's show, I wanted to deal with an email that got sent to us through our website. It was written by Mr. FK, and he said this. I have an idea that would stop abortion. It costs $230,000 to raise a child in the U.S. Maybe you anti-abortion folks could donate the money to help poor women bring up these unwanted children. Are you personally willing to come up with the money to save one baby? Yes, I thought not.
So, of course, they're going to pick that email to respond to. Because that doesn't show a lot of the nuance of the opinion of most of the people who have opposite opinions of them. But, I've been guilty of the same thing, taking some of the most ridiculous arguments, some of the less nuanced arguments, partly because it's easier to talk about, to speak against, and mostly because it's kind of more entertaining, because I like to make my videos for entertainment purposes. Kind of. That's one of the purposes. But these I mean, he's an apologist. He ought to be, responding to the best version of the argument out there. You would think sort of not only charitable interpretation, but a charitable picking of arguments, you know? Perfect pause. You can see all this stupid. I feel like you can see his state of mind in this freeze frame right here. Let's keep going. I can't believe this is a topic. Price versus life. Really? All right. You know what? Let's go. Let's go. We'll explain along the way.
So, kind of a snarky way to conclude there. But you've actually written an article about this, Lita, that was published on our website on September 28. And
so if you look up "murdering babies is wrong,"
why don't you just
on creation.com, you get this lady's things. Can you stop this? Thank you. I'm sorry.
Spell out a few that published on our website on September 28. And why don't you just spell out a few of the points that you made in response?
Well, obviously we all know that it's wrong to kill people, and abortion really is a form of murder.
That's it. That's as far as I got. That is as far as I got into this video. Because that... God. Okay. So we all know killing people is wrong, right? Yeah. And abortion is a form of murder. Okay. 2 different points. They're both wrong. They're both wrong. But let's start with the easy one first. We all know that killing is wrong. I mean, sure, if I were to just go in the other room and just kind of shank my dad, take this ballpoint pen and shove it into his eyeballs, of course, I'd be in the wrong there. But imagine somebody's trying to do that to me. Am I not allowed to kill him? Imagine somebody's planning to kill other people. Would killing that person be wrong to save other people? I don't think so. And to bring it to the Christian point of view, because these guys are Christian, that's the angle that they're taking. In the Old Testament, God, a couple times, told the Israelites to declare a holy war, to put it simply. Were they wrong for following God's orders? Or would they be wrong for not following God's orders? So evidently it's not wrong in every instance. Right? I'm sure we can all agree to that in some sort of capacity. Like, so no, that's not the case. There's got to be a line, something that either objectively or subjectively makes killing a person okay. Obviously not out of malice, obviously not without reason, but is a little more nuanced than can't happen ever, because God said so. And then abortion is murder. It's not. Stop saying that. They're only doing that to shame people, to shame women who are trying to not only keep their lives on track, but make sure that anybody who is brought into this world can be properly taken care of. But okay, semantics. Let's go with semantics. Abortion is murder. Is abortion murder? I don't know if we're going to get to this video, by the way. It's just another title that I thought was interesting. But let's look up define murder. Let's look up the definition of murder. The unlawful premeditated killing of one human being by another. Or, as Wikipedia puts it, murder is the unlawful killing of another human without justification or valid excuse, especially the unlawful killing of another human with malice aforethought. At first, I thought that said afterthought, and that made no sense. Okay, so murder is unlawful killing of another human. Got that down. I guess a fetus would be a human. I thought it would say person, and there'd be the argument that a fetus is not a person, which I would agree with, at least to some extent. But, unlawful. if abortion is legal where you are and you have an abortion, it is not unlawful and it is not murder. So, no, abortion is not murder. Not at all. And even not even every instance of murder would be technically wrong. Like, say you pull the plug on somebody who is brain dead. I mean, that might be murder, depending on the laws and wherever it happened. But is it wrong? I don't think so. Doctor-assisted suicide, that's a hot topic now. But imagine somebody who's going to die in the next 10 days and is constantly living in excruciating pain. Why do you force him to live those 10 days or so? I mean, that would be murder because that's illegal in a lot of places, at least in the US. I'm not entirely sure. But is that wrong? I don't think so. So, obviously, I'm just saying what we already know. When these guys say abortion is murder, not only do they not understand the arguments, not understand the reasons why anybody would have an abortion, but they're just shaming them because they're doing something that they think is horrible. So no. And so far, we've seen no nuance. We've seen no nuance in this video, but it's not going to get any better. What about when vegans call meat murder, as in killing animals is murder? I hate hens. These people talk about garbage. Yeah, okay, see, I am mostly vegan. I'm trying to be vegan, so I understand the vegan point of view, obviously, but it's the same thing when vegans call meat murder, because meat is not murder, it is not unlawful, and it's not a human. And they're just shaming people for doing what is culturally really important. Meat is really important to virtually every culture. So, yeah, no, those sorts of vegans, they give the reasonable ones a bad rep. The left, of course, want to stretch it to crazy and abort babies after birth. If the left think it's good, it must be bad. I don't think the left is trying to abort babies after they're born. I don't think so. I think that even most left-leaning people are pretty against late-term abortion. I haven't really asked around, but I don't know. Let's keep going. This is the point where I have not seen anything else in this video, so this is where it gets good. Maybe, I don't know.
And so we all know that murder is wrong. It's wrong to kill innocent human beings.
Uh-huh. Right. It's wrong to kill innocent human beings in a very general sense. Yes, but imagine if a person is innocent and is now going to live in excruciating pain throughout the rest of his entire life. And if we shorten that to the end of his life being now, and his life is all around better than if we just extended it into excruciating pain and suffering, These are the guys. They're getting their morals from the Bible. So that's
Yeah. Why don't we begin that way to just simply lay out a basic case for why
appreciate that
abortion is wrong? Because here he's sort of trying to argue against the pro-life position. But if somebody said to you, "What's wrong with abortion?" It seems like it's a woman should have the right to do what she wants with her body. Then how would you make the case?
Right, I love it. The woman should have the right to do what she wants with her body. That's their only understanding of it. I mean, of course, that is an argument that's brought up because it is the woman. It ought to be the woman's choice. but they're not going very deep into it. They're not properly responding to the concerns of the pro-choice, sorry, the pro-choice argument. They're like I think he even said that he wants to give a very basic overview of why abortion is wrong, because anybody who's pro-choice just doesn't know why it's wrong. They think it's, oh, let's just pass out abortions. You know, I'm gonna get pregnant next week, and then just hop on over to the abortion clinic, because that's where all my people at. That's where we hang out. Just get, you know, bi-monthly abortions. God, no. I'm not sure about the guy who posted that email, but the people who are arguing against you, they know your stance. We know. Why don't you respond to the thoughts that they're giving out, like I am more or less doing with your arguments right now, right? And before we go on, this is something that I've been really wondering. Stillborns, right? God allows that, right? I mean, I'm sure they don't think that God is the cause of it, but they also believe that's part of God's plan. So obviously God is cool with, you know, stillbirth. But yet when we do it, it's totally different. I don't know. I never really understood that line of reasoning, but I guess these guys aren't thinking about it the way I am.
For the pro-life position.
Well, in essence, we believe that every human life is valuable because humans are uniquely created in the image of God.
Okay. Right, we're created in the image of God. Is the image of God... Okay, first off, these guys don't believe that God has a physical body, a physical appearance, so that doesn't really make any sense at all. But is the image of God... How is the image of God so similar to the image of other apes? You know, gorillas, orangutans, bonobos? We look a lot like them. So they're pretty close to the image of God. It seems strange. It's almost like we are closely related to other apes in an evolutionary perspective. Don't you think? It seems like we're created in the image of apes. Right?
And God has forbidden us from killing innocent humans.
Okay, you know what? Let's break this out. Yep. Let's do this full screen, full cam. Horrible hair. All right, let's do focus on me. All right. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Everybody turn to me. The book of Psalms, I believe, chapter 138. It is not. 137, verse 9. That's on page 433, in case you're having trouble. Look. It says, "Happy is the one who seizes your infants and dashes them against the rocks." Okay, it's out of context. All right, so God wants us to kill Babylonian children. Okay, that's the context. The context is important, guys. You know. That's NIV, the New International Version, by the way. I don't know if that matters because, you know, copyright, whatever. Let's go to Bible Gateway. All right, let's look. Oh, wow, that's let's go back to my monitor. Okay, Bible Gateway. It's really zoomed in for those of you having trouble seeing. All right, let's look up. What was it? Rip up. I think that's the term. Okay, we might have to go King James. Let's go authorized King James, because that's what these guys really love, the King James. Okay, And, okay, so God answered, because I know the evil thou wilt do in the children of Israel, and rip up their women with child. Okay, so he's saying that that is evil. But, let's see. Okay, Samaria shall become desolate, for she hath rebelled against her God. They shall fall by the sword, their infants shall be dashed in pieces, their women with child shall be ripped up. And that was that. God wanted that. God wanted that to happen. Okay, out of context. All right. Okay, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have ripped up the womb of the child, that they might. Okay, so that's all right. So that's God saying it's bad, but this is God saying that. And this happened in more than one. This happened in more than one verse. I guess maybe I'm not looking up the right thing, but maybe this will give us some instances, some better better result. All right, I guess not. Okay. But you see that God caused the, what was it? God caused women who are with child to be ripped up. And there were Israelites who did that exact thing in the Bible. It's not free. There's okay. I could go on. All right. So it's forbidden. It's forbidden for us to do that. I mean, apparently it was okay once upon a time, once upon a situation, once upon a country. What has changed between now and then? Has God changed his mind? Has the church changed its mind? Maybe God had good reason. Maybe it's God's great plan. But if God could have a certain reason for allowing children and unborn children to die, why is it impossible for us to have good reason if, say, that the reason is the same as God's? Let's keep going.
Because humans are created in God's image. And so we would apply that to humans from the earliest point of life, which is conception, to the end of their life.
I thought she was going to say I thought she was going to say something else. I thought she was going to be like, from the beginning of time. Then, like, what the hell was all that in the Old Testament? But you forget. Did you read the Old Testament? I know you have your MA. I know you have your MA in New Testament, but let's read the Old Testament, shall we? Because the Israelites went to war. God commanded the Israelites to go to war. They commanded to declare holy war, to kill people in the name of God. That's a thing that happened in the Old Testament several times. Several times. And there are even more instances in the Bible where somebody was killed and it wasn't explicitly condemned, either by God or in any other way. But all that changed because around when Jesus... Sorry if that was loud. Because around when Jesus came, we found out that we were made in the image of God. Am I wrong? Someone is wrong on the internet? I know.
We believe abortion is wrong because it is the ending of an innocent human life, and we believe that all human life is valuable because we are created in the image of God. And God.
So all human life is valuable. What about the Babylonian children that we read about in Psalm 137? 138, 137, one of those. Oh, but maybe they're not innocent. Maybe it's innocent lives. Right. So when the women in the Old Testament who were with child were ripped up, you know, their fetuses they were guilty. I thought it was the Christian worldview that everybody is guilty, that we have original sin, that we're all worldly, and we're only saved once we accept Jesus Christ. So I mean, that's their justification for why natural disasters happen. You know, why hurricanes can kill hundreds of people at a time. I don't know. What was the, I don't know the highest death toll of a hurricane, but people die to natural disasters all the time, and their excuse is that, oh, everybody's guilty. Everybody's guilty. But when this comes up, it's, oh no, it's innocent.
God has forbidden us from taking innocent human life. And we would apply that from the very earliest point of life, from conception, to the end of natural life.
Yeah.
I didn't rewind, did I? Because she said the same thing twice. I don't know why it bugs me when people do that, but it does. Now my internet speed is going low. All right. Let me adjust my settings to better fit my internet, because it's less stable than my girlfriend's mood. Hope she's not watching. All right, we're gonna be slightly lower quality, but you're gonna have to deal with it. So now I'm rewinding.
Life, which is conception,
okay,
to the end of their life.
From conception to the end of their life.
We believe abortion is wrong because it is the ending of an innocent human life, and we believe that all human life is valuable because we are created in the image of God, and God has forbidden us from taking innocent human life.
Yes,
and
you just said that.
We would apply that from the very earliest point of life, from conception.
You just said that.
To the end of natural life.
You just said
so
that.
The basic argument.
I heard you the first time. Like, I heard you. It's fine. It's fine. No, that's the MA in New Testament, because she's used to reading the same thing, you know, over and over. She read the same thing 4 times, so it's normal to her. Let's give her a break. I don't know. It's okay. I know, small thing, but that just it bothers me sometimes. Thanks for the €5, Renee. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm pretty sure half the Bible's contents were simply put out there by people trying to justify their actions or highlighting how just they are. Pretty much. I'd say Old Testament is pretty strong argument for that. But New Testament, it's kind of I don't know. It's more straightening out their actions, except when it comes to the whole "don't be gay" thing. But yeah, I can see that.
Really has 2 premises that lead to a conclusion. It's that there's a moral premise that taking innocent human life is wrong.
Which I don't think you've proven.
On the one hand, and then a premise that you might say is empirical, things that we know from science, that the unborn is a whole, living, distinct human being.
It is a human being, technically, because technically my fingernails, which are really stained, are human. So if I were to clip my fingernails, the fingernail clipping is technically human because they're made of human cells. So that definition doesn't really get us anywhere. Like a zygote, yes, it's a human, but if it doesn't have a functioning nervous system, it doesn't have a consciousness, it doesn't have feelings. So does it really matter? See, now they're using the definition of human beings, but the issue is more of whether or not it is a person. And then, even then, if the life that is yet to form is more important than the life that has to take care of it, that has to now live with a child. And, okay, so the whole point of the email they received, sorry if I'm not reading chat. Sorry for not reading chat, but the point of the email they received is that not everybody can take care of a child, at least as far as money goes, because not everybody can afford it. $230,000 for a child? I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if that's going for like 18 years. But the whole point was that it's a huge burden. And I guess they're so far they haven't gone into the economics of having a child, and of course they're gonna say put it up for abortion, not put it up for abortion. No, that's not what they want. For adoption, we'll get there if we get there.
And abort.
Exodus 21:22-25. A fetus is not a person. Let me look that up in the New International Version. What is this? That is, okay. Let me look that up. I already passed up Exodus. Exodus 21. 22-25. Let's see, by a viewer suggestion. It says, if people are fighting and they hit a pregnant woman and she gives birth prematurely, and there's a footnote, or she has a miscarriage. So if people are fighting and they cause a woman to have a miscarriage, but there is no serious injury, the offender must be fined whatever the woman's husband demands and the court allows. But if there is a serious injury, and you are to take life for life, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, foot for a foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, and bruise for bruise. So only if there's serious injury to the woman do you do the whole eye for an eye thing. That's a very good point. That totally slipped my mind. That's in the Bible. So the Bible's perfectly fine with causing a miscarriage, as long as it doesn't significantly harm the mother. And there's also another instance. It was the test for the unfaithful wife. I'm not going to be able to find it right now, but I believe it was either, I think it was in Numbers. There's the test for the unfaithful wife, where if a man thinks that his wife has been unfaithful, then she will take her to the priest. The priest will give her this elixir of water and dirt from the ground, put a curse on it, and she's supposed to drink it. The idea being that if she has been unfaithful, then her thigh will rot, and she won't be able to bear a child. But if she has been faithful, then nothing will happen, and the man has no recourse for his actions, because of course he doesn't. Because the Bible's kind of misogynistic like that. I think that's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with, and so the Bible has in two places, arguably, supported abortion. But no, that's out of context. It's in the Old Testament. Things have changed now. Things have changed. More Old Covenant shit. That's the dodge. Exactly. But the point is that, okay, if at one point in time it was the acceptable thing to do, why is it now not an acceptable thing to do? Because there's a new covenant. Why couldn't that have been made before? It's water oil that's been anointed, of course, when dirty dust from the tabernacle floor. Of course, some magical words and stuff. Yes, that sounds about right. Also, there's like an offering of a dove, because that does something. But yeah. Let's continue. I've been doing this for 44 minutes already. Boy, somebody stop me.
Abortion takes that life.
Yes, and really, from a medical point of view, from a scientific point of view, this is not even contestable.
She seems really nervous. And I totally get that. But it's not contestable from a scientific point of view. Okay, I'm wondering, what does science have to do with this? Okay. A fetus is a human. Big whoop. Is a fetus a person? Does a fetus have a central nervous system? Is God's plan planned out from the point of conception? I do think it says somewhere in the Bible that is the case. But if people undergo abortions, is that not part of God's plan? I don't know. It's not a scientific issue per se. I mean, there are points of science which you can bring up, but science, you can't test morality. You can't. Let's continue.
Very good, but
not incontestable. So it is contestable. Yes.
What Mr. FK seems to be doing is not taking a direct attack on that line of argument. Instead, he seems to be really bypassing the argument altogether.
He's bypassing the argument. Okay, the email that he sent was a bastardized version of the main argument. That is, the mother can't take care of the child. And it seems like you're not responding to that, because you're sticking to your stance and not really considering anything else. This goes both ways.
And instead challenging pro-lifers to put up the money, and if they're not willing to do that in his mind, then abortion is justified.
Yeah.
No, I think he was trying to make a point. I don't think he was literally demanding that you pay for every adoption, for every woman who would undergo an abortion. It's not literally true. What he's trying to say is that kids are expensive. Not everybody is prepared to have a child. And there's not a whole lot of good avenues for the life of a child who has nobody to take care of him. And I assume we're getting to adoption, so I'm trying to hold off from that. You look like a really young Marilyn Manson. Thank you. I think we have totally different noses. But you know what? I like Manson, so thank you. That pause, though, yeah.
Well, he's really trying to disqualify us from even commenting. And pro-abortion people will do that a lot. They'll say, well, because you'll never carry a baby, you have no right to comment on women's pregnancies. You're not a woman. Or they'll say...
Okay, I can actually understand that argument, because isn't it weird that everybody that's arguing about abortion, it's almost entirely men, right? I believe it was Lucian Greaves who said in a talk one time that, again, it's come to something along the lines of, again, this is two men talking about what women should be able to do, or the rights of women. that sort of thing. Too much applause from the crowd. So I do think we should get the women's opinion on this, right? Maybe not her, because her MA is in New Testament. The Manson thing, definitely a compliment. Thank you. I lost my train of thought. But yeah. But then again, like, women, they never talk about politics. Probably because women just are just more socially adept than men. So they know just not talking about it is better for society. Because, I mean, just look at you watching me talking about politics. We're all terrible here.
You know, if you're not facing this specific set of hardships, you can't understand, so you can't speak to that. This is just another type of disqualification, and really, it's not a valid argument.
Not a valid argument. Maybe you're misunderstanding it. Maybe you're just taking the least charitable interpretation of this argument. If you were to take a more charitable interpretation of the argument, which is, you know, kind of a good practice when you're trying to present your side of things, you would say, oh, they're talking about all the hardships that women have to endure. You're talking about one of the, like the most common reason women undergo abortion by far, that's not being able to take care of a child economically. Although it's usually tied with personally being able to take care of them, like emotionally, stuff like that. Just not ready to have a child, and the economics is one of the biggest arguments for that. There was a poll. I'm not going to be able to cite it to you right now because I don't think you want to watch a stream where I try to find this one paper that I read sometimes. But look it up if you don't believe me, because I wouldn't take my word for it either. Heath, how'd you come up with this today? Because I haven't really posted a proper video all month, and I wanted to fulfill my Patreon promises of having them credited in the description and stuff like that. If I'm being totally honest. Because it's been harder and harder to justify busting my balls for 8 hours a day editing videos when, you know, I'm getting like $75 for all of last month. You know, that sort of thing. Anyhow, I get the point. Love your channel. That pause is killing me. Stop. I want to hear the fools talk. Okay. All right. Sure. I lost my train of thought anyway.
It's an ad hominem argument, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Okay. I know I'm pausing again, but it's not an ad hominem. It's not an ad hominem. They're not singling you out. They're not saying that you're doing anything wrong. Although they do kind of bring that in at the end. Arguably, it's the whole whatever.
So it attacks the character of the pro-lifer rather than dealing with the fundamental issue, which is what is the unborn.
Yes, and it's even a false argument because really many pro-lifers do put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
All across the U.S. and many other Western nations, we have pregnancy resource centers, which are charities mostly funded by Christians that connect pregnant women with resources, and some of them even provide medical services there.
Actually, a lot of these I'm not entirely sure the organizations that they're talking about, but a lot of this Christianity in the abortion space is meant specifically to block people from having an abortion, which of course they think is a good thing, but it is not. Because it all takes a toll on the woman, no matter what it is. Whether it's going through the whole 9 or so months and then giving birth, whether it's taking care of the child afterwards or then putting the child up for abortion, up for adoption, or if it's having an early term abortion, it all takes a toll on the mother. And these guys are here to stop them, to say, hey, no, go through this. Put your body through this because you have an obligation to the Lord. And they put a whole bunch of a whole bunch of misinformation in their pamphlets, and say they really try to appeal to their emotions, and really try to get them to stop what would honestly be best for everybody. Because these women aren't happy about it, but they're trying to get their lives and the lives of everybody around them back on track and not put a child into this world who is not going to be taken care of. So, and I do think left-leaning people are a whole lot for Planned Parenthood, which are not just abortion people. They do a whole bunch of things, like sex education, providing contraceptives, a whole bunch of other sorts of things, which I think everybody would think is a good thing, except for, the most Puritan of us.
And there is a long list of people waiting to adopt children. Now, obviously, when you adopt...
A long list of people waiting to adopt children. Maybe so. But the people who are willing to adopt children and the amount of children they're willing to adopt is never going to match up with the amount of children in foster care. Never. There's, especially when they're older. Once they get past a certain age, their chances of being adopted are long gone. People in foster care are way more likely to be homeless once they get out, way more likely to commit suicide, way more likely to undergo abuse, even in the foster care, although I believe the statistics on that are really hard to find. So I may be wrong on that. So foster care, it's not a good thing. It's not something you want. It's not something that... It's not a good option, believe it or not. It's not a good life for the child. And yet, sure, there are children who are being put up for adoption that are being adopted. And perhaps they live happy lives. Let's assume that they do most of the time. Most of the people who adopt children are family members of the child. Because a child goes into foster care, then they're released to other family members for whatever reason. That's not always the case, especially not in low-income families, which, by the way, low-income families are the ones most affected by all this, as you can imagine. And that usually turns out to be minorities, so slightly racist there. Let's keep going. If there was something growing inside of me that I did not give consent to be there, there'd be a parasite, and I would go crazy knowing it's growing inside of me. It brings up a good point. But it's a human being. The human being has a right to live. Because he looks like God.
A child, you take on all of the costs associated with raising that child, both emotional, economic. So there's no reason to abort a child because of money.
Right, because every woman is just going to have a perfectly fine, pain-free, complication-free pregnancy. It's just kind of wait 9 months, then you kind of poop it out a little bit, and it's fine, hunky-dory. Just ship it off in FedEx. No, pregnancy takes a huge toll on women. I mean, have you had a child? I don't know if she has had a child. I don't know. But as a woman, surely she should be able to understand that pregnancy isn't just an easy thing. And especially to give up your own child. The other person is not taking on all of the emotional cost. The mother still is undergoing a lot of that, especially when it takes 9 months. But imagine, like I said, most of the people who adopt children are the family members of the child. So low-income families, they cannot take they cannot take on the financial cost, and probably not the emotional cost.
Yeah, and from my understanding, Lita, you actually have some personal experience working in these pro-life health centers, don't you?
Yes, I spent a couple years volunteering in one of these pregnancy resource centers, and I spoke with a lot of women who were considering abortion. And really, women would bring up the economics as part of the fear of, being pregnant. But more than that, if they felt insecure in their relationships, if they felt like their partner was not going to be supportive or their family was not going to be supportive.
So in other words, they are not prepared to have a child. You found the reason. You found the reason. They are either economically or emotionally not prepared to have a child. Congratulations.
That was a much bigger issue. So once we were able to connect them with resources, a lot of times that was part of the issue, but really the bigger issue was letting them know that there was social support available.
Yeah. And so pro-lifers certainly
let's keep going.
Have done much of this work in not only providing for the financial needs of women who have an unwanted pregnancy, but also taking care of many of their emotional and even spiritual needs as well.
Yes. And just to emphasize, even if these wonderful programs were not available, this would not make it right to abort a baby. And it would not make pro-life arguments any less valid.
Right. So if you didn't have these sort of resource centers, I think it'd be more accurate to call them evangelism centers, if they're Christian based. Would not make them valid. So basically, women have no valid reason for desiring an abortion. No valid reason. That's what we're dealing with. Because she's heard the reasons. She's heard them herself from women who are struggling in this area. And she's concluded it's no valid reason. I think that's the issue. The issue is that issues aren't taken seriously because your sense of morality is more important than others. Your opinion is more important than everyone else. Let me do that.
Yeah, I like the example that you gave in your article about, do you remember what you said, how this case of slavery relates to this
Yes,
issue?
I said that it's a bit like saying that unless you're willing to pay for the emancipation of all the slaves, then you can't talk about slavery. You can say, no, these are...
I like how she brings up slavery to try to be on the moral high ground because it was Christian Bible thumpers who were mostly the ones all for keeping slavery, all the ones against emancipation of the slaves. It were Christian arguments mostly. It was conservative Christians who wanted slaves. To be clear, there were arguments both ways within Christianity, but those who wanted slaves used the Bible to justify it. And to be clear, the Bible does justify slavery. It says it's perfectly okay. Jesus never condemns it, and the Old Testament outright says, yeah, go ahead. No Israelite slaves, right? No slaves from your own country. Or, no, the ones who are from your own country, or Israel. Israelites in the Old Testament, excuse me. You're supposed to treat them well and, release them after so long with fair compensation. But when you go on your crusades, your holy wars against other nations, and then take the women and children for yourselves as slaves, you can treat them however you want and even beat them. So it seems like you're not getting your morality from the Bible. It seems like you're getting it from somewhere else. Many prominent abolitionists were Christian. Yes, yeah. Like I said, there were arguments both ways. It's not like the entirety of the Christian population was pro-slavery, but those who were pro-slavery were Christians. And that the Bible isn't against slavery at all.
They're people made in the image of God, and they should not be enslaved, even if you don't have the money or aren't willing to use your money to free the slaves. But we know that, in fact, abolitionists did use their money to free slaves. So
yeah, so it's very much.
But it was mostly the government's doing. And you guys are all against the government providing contraceptives. So which one do you want?
Much a parallel, and I think it exposes how it is.
I should say I don't know these guys, their positions on contraceptives or on whether or not it should be supported on a political level. I'm not totally familiar with these guys, but in general, the American conservative Christian position is that
more of an attack on our character. I mean, imagine if we were just as bad as Mr. FK assumes, and we weren't willing to put up the money, it still wouldn't justify the taking of these innocent human lives.
Exactly. And actually, it's ironic talking about unborn babies being expensive, and that's a reason to kill them, because really, an unborn child is at the least expensive point in their lives.
Right. So if we abort them at the point where they don't have sentience, so they arguably haven't gained personhood, where it is of the least financial, emotional, and physical burden upon everyone, like, okay, to be clear, abortion it's not necessarily a good thing. It's not something you want. But it's the lesser of the evils.
That's a good point. They only get more expensive as they begin to grow up and consume more food and require, more clothing and so forth. And I think that's a key point, because a common argument that pro-lifers give in response to pro-choice arguments is this concept of trotting out the toddler. What I mean by that is, if they say that the reason that abortion is justified is because the child is too expensive, well, you say, well, let's apply that same logic to a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old. Are you justified in taking the life of that 2-year-old, the toddler, because they're expensive? Well, no. And if not, then shouldn't the same thing apply to the unborn, who is just as valuable and made in the image of God as the toddler?
Okay, I don't care if the child is made in the image of God, because, so were people who've committed atrocities, and so were people who died of natural causes as a newborn. That doesn't seem to matter. And more importantly, not everybody in the United States is Christian. We do have other religions. We do have irreligion. Why should everybody conform to your opinion? Right?
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. And we're even seeing it's an issue that we devalue human life in the womb, and we're even
devalue human life in the womb. Okay, that's their point, that in the womb they're human and they are in the image of God, because God too looked kind of like a freaky lizard creature before he developed into a full human form. Have you looked up what fetuses look like before they develop, like, or as they develop? They don't look human until a certain point. They look more like lizards. In early stages, at least. So, is that the image of God, or is your image of God just arbitrary and used however you like? Not clearly defined, but just a point that was put in the Bible. When you say that all of these things are poetic or analogies whenever it's convenient for you. But I do think that it's way better to abort an early term unborn child, fetus, embryo, whatever the technically correct term is, because I forget sometimes, than it is to kill a 2-year-old. Obviously, I'm not saying kill 2-year-olds, but before they have a central nervous system that functions, at least functions well, they're not, sure, they're humans, but they're not people. They don't yet have feelings, either physically or mentally. They don't yet have aspirations. They don't yet have a will to live. They're not. I mean, surely. All right, we're almost done, people. We're almost done.
And seeing today wrongful birth lawsuits where people have a disabled child and they say, I'm going to sue the doctor because if they'd done tests and found this out, I would have had an abortion. I would rather have a dead child than a disabled child.
Yeah, the fundamental problem here is that people need a change in worldview, don't they? They need to have that creation foundation to see that all human beings are made in God's image. From the womb to the tomb, we're valuable. And so we human beings don't have the right to take one another's lives without proper justification. Well,
Okay, I love how we added without proper justification, because maybe there is, and you just kind of dismiss it because you just want to take the moral high ground. I'd like to thank my ISP. A cancer cell has a will to live, in a sense. Yeah. It's not the same as a sentient will to live. Should I have said sentience? And a mental and emotional will to live? Or maybe just mental, because anyhow. All right, I think you have my opinion. I think that's all you came here for. I think I've been streaming long enough. I hope you enjoyed. I hope, or not. I hope you watched. Lately, I've been streaming other things and then taking them down as I go along. But I think this one is going to stay up, and this is going to be part of my normal sort of thing that I do. Because I do think I'm going to be streaming more often. I'm not going to stop producing normal videos, but they're not going to be coming as often as they used to be, because I can't really do it anymore. My hair, man, we gotta do something with this. We gotta figure something out. I need a conditioner. I think that would help me. But thank all of you for watching. And I'll see you next time, I suppose. I'm in the middle of trying to figure out what I'm trying to do with the channel, but I appreciate you guys for sticking with me. And don't forget to do your taxes. They're coming up in a couple months. It'll be due. Do them early. It makes it much easier. Like, I actually thought that the deadline was February 15th when it's really April 15th. So I was like, a couple weeks ago, I was like really rushing to get my taxes done. It's like, oh crap. But then I realized, no, I'm an idiot. But, all right, that's the end of the stream. Goodbye, guys.